My name is Emma Chen. I'm 36. On Thursday, November 2nd at 7:48 a.m., I was standing in the airport crew lounge at Gate C-14, reading a text from my ex-partner Ezra that said he'd filed for emergency custody of our daughter Lily unless I signed over the $680,000 stock portfolio my uncle had left me 3 months earlier. I had 42 minutes before my flight to Seattle boarded. Lily was at school. Ezra knew exactly when I couldn't respond, couldn't fight back, couldn't do anything except panic at 35,000 feet. The text included an attachment, court documents claiming I was an unfit mother due to my erratic work schedule and inability to provide stable housing. He wanted full custody. He wanted the stocks transferred to a joint account for Lily's future. He wanted me to have nothing. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. I boarded Flight 2847 to Seattle with my hands shaking so badly, I dropped my crew ID twice. My coworker Jennifer noticed but didn't ask. We'd been flying together for 6 years. She knew when to give space. At 30,000 feet, serving drinks to 183 passengers, I couldn't stop thinking about that phrase, unfit mother. Ezra knew exactly how to hurt me, he always had. Let me take you back 12 years to when I first met my Uncle Marcus. I was 24, fresh out of flight attendant training, and my mother, Uncle Marcus's sister, had just told me she was cutting me off financially because I'd chosen a service job instead of medical school. Uncle Marcus showed up at my studio apartment in his old Navy fatigues, carrying a box of Thai takeout that smelled like basil and lemongrass. Your mom called me, he said, setting food on my counter. Said you made a terrible life choice. I did. No. He looked at me with those steady eyes he'd earned in 2 tours overseas. You made your own choice. That's different. We ate pad thai straight from the containers, sitting on my floor because I only owned 1 chair. He told me about his 20 years in the Navy, about learning that preparedness wasn't paranoia, it was love. Emma, I'm going to tell you something important. He handed me a fortune cookie. Control and protection look similar from the outside, but control says, do what I want or I'll hurt you. Protection says, I'll make sure you're equipped to handle whatever comes. He pulled out a folder. I'm setting up a stock portfolio for you. Blue chip stocks. Stable. It'll grow slowly, but it'll grow. And when I'm gone, it's yours. No one can touch it. No one can take it. It's your safety net. Uncle Marcus, you don't have to. I know. That's why I'm doing it. He smiled. Listen, kiddo. You're going to meet someone someday who confuses love with ownership. And when you do, you're going to need to remember that you always have a way out. This portfolio, it's your exit strategy. I didn't understand then. I was 24. I thought love was supposed to feel overwhelming, all-consuming, necessary. I met Ezra 2 years later. He was charming, intense, attentive. He said I was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. He said he couldn't imagine life without me. 6 months in, he started checking my phone. Just making sure you're safe, he said. A year in, he wanted passwords to all my accounts. We're partners, he explained. We should share everything. Uncle Marcus met him once, just once. Afterward, he pulled me aside and said, remember what I told you about control versus protection? Ezra's protective, I said. He cares about me. Does he equip you or does he restrict you? I didn't answer. I already knew. Lily was born 3 years into our relationship. Ezra proposed in the hospital room, holding our daughter, saying, now we're a real family. I said yes. I wanted Lily to have what I didn't, 2 parents who stayed. We lasted 2 more years. The engagement broke when Ezra threw my phone against the wall because a male passenger had sent me a LinkedIn request. He apologized afterward, crying, saying he couldn't bear the thought of losing me. Uncle Marcus helped me move out. He didn't say I told you so. He just helped me pack and said, the portfolio is still yours. Keep it separate. Don't tell him about it. Uncle Marcus died 8 months ago. Heart attack in his sleep. He was 67. The portfolio was worth $680,000 by then, carefully documented in a trust that named only me as beneficiary. I never told Ezra about the stocks. We'd been broken up for 3 years. We co-parented Lily, split custody 50-50, kept our distance. I thought it was over. I was wrong. The first betrayal came 6 days after Uncle Marcus's funeral. I was sorting through his papers, old military records, photos, letters, when Ezra showed up at my apartment unannounced. I heard about your uncle, he said. I'm sorry. Thank you. Did he leave you anything? The question felt like ice water. Why? Just curious. You know, for Lily's college fund. It would be good if there was something to help with her future. There's nothing, I lied. My throat was dry. Ezra looked around my apartment, the same studio I'd lived in for 12 years, updated but still small. Nothing? Really? He was military, right? There's usually some kind of pension or savings. He had medical bills. Ezra's eyes narrowed. Well, if you do find anything, let me know. Lily deserves to benefit from family money. He left. I stood in my kitchen for 18 minutes, staring at the folder of stock certificates Uncle Marcus had left me. 3 weeks later, I discovered how Ezra knew. My cousin Rachel called me crying. I'm so sorry, Emma. Ezra contacted me on Facebook. He said you were struggling financially, that he wanted to help set up a fund for Lily, but he needed to know about Uncle Marcus's estate. I didn't know it was a secret. I mentioned the stocks. My stomach dropped. What exactly did you tell him? Just that Uncle Marcus had left you a portfolio. I didn't know the amount. Emma, I'm sorry. I thought you two were on good terms. I hung up, called Ezra immediately. What do you want? I said. What do you mean? You know about the stocks. What do you want? Silence. Then, I want what's fair for our daughter. Half of that portfolio should go into Lily's college fund. I'll manage it. No, Emma. His voice changed, colder. I'm trying to be reasonable here, but if you're going to be selfish about this, I'll have to take other steps. Other steps? I'll do what I have to do to protect Lily from a mother who puts money before her child's welfare. That phrase became his weapon. What I have to do. He said it in texts, in emails, in the parking lot during custody exchanges. If you don't do what's right, I'll do what I have to do. Over the next 6 weeks, Ezra built his case. He started documenting everything. Every time I was late for pickup because my flight was delayed. Every time I asked him to keep Lily an extra night because I had a red eye. Every time I chose a trip over a school event. He sent me a spreadsheet on October 15th. Dates, times, incidents of my abandonment. 27 entries over 3 years. Things like September 12th, Emma missed Lily's soccer game, chose work. And October 3rd, Emma arrived 40 minutes late for pickup, flight excuse. I tried to explain. I'm a flight attendant, my schedule isn't stable. Delays happen, weather happens. But Ezra twisted every explanation into proof of negligence. My friends started distancing themselves. Ezra had contacted some of them, asking if they'd ever noticed concerning behavior from me. He framed it as worry, as a father's concern. Some of them believed him. My bank account had $8,420 in it. I couldn't afford a lawyer. Not a good one. I kept flying. SeaTac to LAX, LAX to Denver, Denver to Chicago, Chicago back to SeaTac. I served drinks and pretzels and smiled at passengers and tried not to think about losing my daughter. Then on November 2nd, Ezra sent the text with the custody filing, and I broke. I called him from the airport, shaking. You can't do this. I can. I am. The hearing is in 2 weeks. His voice was calm, satisfied. Unless you transfer the stocks. Those are mine. Uncle Marcus left them to me. And Lily deserves to benefit. You're being selfish, Emma. This is what I have to do. I worked my shift to Seattle in a fog. Jennifer kept asking if I was okay. I kept saying yes. But that night, in my hotel room overlooking the Space Needle, I went through the documents Uncle Marcus had left me. Stock certificates. Trust paperwork. And tucked inside the folder, a sealed envelope with my name in Uncle Marcus's precise military handwriting. The envelope was marked, "Open only if Ezra tries to take what's yours." He knew. Uncle Marcus knew Ezra would do this. I didn't open it. Not yet. I was too scared of what it might say, too scared it wouldn't be enough. I flew back to SeaTac the next day, picked up Lily from school, held her tight. "Mama, you're squishing me," she laughed. "Sorry, baby, I missed you. Daddy said I might get to live with him all the time soon. Is that true?" My heart stopped. Did Daddy say why? He said you work too much, that you care more about flying than about me. I knelt down to her level. "Lily, I fly so we have a home, so you have what you need. I love you more than anything. I know, Mama. She hugged me. I don't want to live with just Daddy. He gets mad a lot. I filed that away. Evidence, but not enough. Ezra showed up at my apartment 2 days later. I didn't let him in. We talked through the door chain. Have you thought about my offer? He said. It's not an offer, it's extortion. It's co-parenting, putting Lily first. He leaned against the doorframe. You know what the court will see, Emma? A mother who's never home, who prioritizes a job that takes her away 3 days a week, who can't even afford a 2-bedroom apartment for her daughter. I have a good job, I support us. By abandoning your child to chase first-class passengers around the country. He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Transfer the stocks. Put them in a trust for Lily. I'll drop the custody case. No. Then I'll do what I have to do. He walked away. I closed the door and slid down to the floor, sat there for 23 minutes. Then I opened Uncle Marcus's envelope. The letter inside was 3 pages, handwritten on military stationery. I recognized his neat, blocky handwriting immediately. It read, Dear Emma, if you're reading this, then Ezra is doing exactly what I knew he would do, using Lily to control you, threatening custody to get the stocks. I'm sorry I'm not there to protect you in person, but I can still protect you with preparation. Asterisk. Do you remember what I told you about control versus protection? Ezra controls. He always has. That's why I never put your name on any documents he could access. That's why I built this portfolio in complete secrecy for 12 years. Asterisk. The stocks are yours. Legally, irrevocably, yours. The trust was established in 2011, registered with the state, notarized, and sealed. Ezra has no legal claim to them. They were never marital property. We set them up before you even met him. He cannot touch them. Asterisk. But that won't stop him from trying, so I've prepared something. My attorney, Colonel James Whitmore, retired, has copies of everything. His office is at 847 Veterans Boulevard, Suite 300. I've also left you the following documents in this envelope. Complete custody evaluation I commissioned last year with a child psychologist's assessment of Ezra's controlling behavior. Phone records showing Ezra's harassment patterns. I started documenting when you first tried to leave him. Financial records proving the stocks were established before your relationship *. Witness statements from 3 of your co-workers about Ezra's stalking behavior at the airport. *flight. Manifests for every date. Ezra claims you abandoned Lily, proving you were working legitimate shifts. *security footage timestamps from the airport. Colonel Whitmore has the full videos. I've also set aside $50,000 from the portfolio specifically for legal defense. It's in a separate account. Use it to hire the best family lawyer you can find. Emma, listen to me. You are not an unfit mother. You are a woman who works hard to provide for her daughter. Ezra's trying to punish you for leaving him, for refusing to be controlled. Don't let him. Wait for the right moment. Let him think he's winning. Then show him what real preparation looks like. You are equipped for this fight. I made sure of it. All my love, Uncle Marcus. Semper Paratus, always ready. I read it 4 times. My hands were shaking so hard the pages rustled. Then I looked at the documents. Uncle Marcus had been collecting evidence for over a year. Child psychologist reports noting Ezra's possessive and controlling behavior patterns. Phone logs showing Ezra had called me 247 times in 1 month during our breakup. Witness statements from Jennifer and 2 other flight attendants about the time Ezra showed up at the airport screaming at me in front of passengers. At the bottom was a business card, Colonel James Whitmore, attorney at law. I called him the next morning. Ms. Chen, he said. His voice was warm, military crisp. I was wondering when you'd reach out. Marcus told me to expect a call around now. He knew when Ezra would do this. Marcus didn't know the exact date, but he knew the pattern. Controlling partners escalate when they lose power. You inherited assets Ezra can't access. Of course he'd use the only leverage he has, your daughter. Can he actually get custody? Not with what Marcus gathered. Not even close. Colonel Whitmore paused. But we need to be strategic. Has Ezra made any public claims yet? Just to mutual friends. He's building a narrative. Good, let him build, let him commit to his story, then we dismantle it with facts. We met 3 days later. Colonel Whitmore was in his 70s, silver-haired, with medals on his office wall and photos of him with Uncle Marcus in desert fatigues. Marcus saved my life in Kandahar, he said, pouring coffee. So when he asked me to protect his niece, I didn't hesitate. He laid out the strategy. We'd let Ezra file his custody case. Let him present his evidence. Let him publicly claim I was unfit. Then, at the hearing, we'd present Uncle Marcus's documentation. The key, Colonel Whitmore said, is that Ezra thinks you're helpless. He thinks you can't afford to fight. That's his mistake. Over the next 10 days, Ezra escalated. He sent emails to Lily's school, questioning my stability. He called my mother, telling her I was keeping money from Lily's future. He showed up at my yoga studio. That's where everything changed. I'd been going to Serenity Flow Yoga on Pinehurst Avenue for 2 years. It was my 1 hour of peace, the one place Ezra had never invaded, until November 12th. I walked out of the 6 p.m. class at 7:14 p.m., still in my yoga clothes, black leggings and a purple tank top dark with sweat, mat under my arm, my muscles loose and tired in that good way that comes after an hour of warrior poses and sun salutations. The lobby was full, 32 people, I counted later when I gave my statement to Colonel Whitmore. Students waiting for the next class, sitting on benches, scrolling phones, chatting about their days. Instructors cleaning mirrors and refilling water stations. The owner, Melissa, at the front desk, scheduling appointments. Ezra was standing by the juice bar, arms crossed, wearing the navy blazer he always wore when he wanted to look reasonable and concerned. "Emma," he said loudly enough that conversation stopped mid-sentence. "We need to talk." Everyone went quiet. I felt 32 pairs of eyes turned toward us. "Not here," I said quietly, aware of the audience, aware of how this would look. A man confronting a woman, a scene unfolding in a place meant for peace. "Yes, here, because you won't answer my calls." He walked toward me, and I saw the calculation in his eyes, the performance he was about to give. "I've been trying to settle this reasonably, but you're being impossible." Melissa stepped forward from behind the desk, her yoga instructor voice, calm but firm, cutting through the tension. "Sir, this is a private business. I'm her daughter's father." Ezra's voice was sharp, indignant, the voice of a man being wronged. "I have every right to talk to her about our child." I set down my mat carefully, keeping my movements slow and deliberate, kept my voice calm. "What do you want, Ezra?" "I want you to stop being selfish. I want you to think about Lily for once instead of clinging to money that should be hers." He gestured broadly, playing to the room. "Her uncle left her mother $680,000, and she won't put a single cent toward our daughter's college fund." Murmurs in the lobby. I saw people looking at me, saw judgment forming in real time. A woman near the water fountain whispered something to her friend. A man in workout clothes shifted uncomfortably. "The custody hearing is in 4 days, Ezra continued, his voice rising. "You could stop this right now, transfer the stocks, put Lily first, or the court is going to hear about every time you chose work over your daughter, every missed birthday, every late pickup, every—" "Mike." "I've never missed her birthday," I said quietly, and something in my voice made him pause. "You missed her soccer game on September 12th. I was working flight 1847 to Boston. I landed at 6 p.m. The game was at 4. You chose work. I chose to pay rent." My hands were steady. Something had shifted inside me in the last 30 seconds. Something had locked into place like a cockpit door sealing shut. "Ezra, I'm not doing this here." "Of course not. You never want to face the truth." He turned to the room, addressing the strangers like they were a jury. "This woman inherited $680,000 and won't put a cent toward her daughter's college fund. What kind of mother does that?" The silence was deafening. I saw judgment in some eyes, a woman in her 50s near the door, shaking her head slightly, pity in others. One of the younger instructors, maybe 23, looking at me like I was a wounded animal. Melissa's face had gone hard with anger, but she stayed behind her desk, letting me handle this. I picked up my mat. "I'll see you in court." I walked out through the lobby, feeling every eye on me, hearing the silence that meant they were all thinking about what Ezra had said, weighing it, judging me in the vacuum of missing information. Behind me I heard Ezra say to someone, his voice softer now, concerned father again, She's not well. I'm trying to help her, but she won't listen. I just want what's best for our little girl. I sat in my car for 38 minutes before driving home, my hands gripping the steering wheel, watching people go in and out of the yoga studio through the windshield. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and purple. My phone buzzed, a text from Jennifer asking if I was okay. I didn't answer. I just sat there, breathing, counting breaths like Melissa had taught us in class. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. At breath number 96, I started the car and drove home. The custody hearing was November 16th at 2 p.m. I wore my flight attendant uniform, professional, capable. Colonel Whitmore met me at the courthouse. Ready? He asked. No. Good. That means you understand what's at stake. Ezra arrived with his lawyer, a young man in an expensive suit. Ezra was wearing a tie, looking concerned, playing the worried father. The hearing started. Ezra's lawyer presented his case. My erratic schedule, my missed events, my financial secrecy, my unwillingness to co-parent effectively. The judge, a woman in her 50s named Patricia Morrison, listened carefully. Then Colonel Whitmore stood up. Your Honor, I'd like to present evidence that Mr. Nash's claims are not only false, but part of a documented pattern of harassment and control. He handed the judge a folder, then he turned to face the room. Mr. Nash claims Ms. Chen missed Lily's soccer game on September 12th. Here's her flight manifest for that day. Flight 1847, Seattle to Boston, departed 10:42 a.m., landed 6:14 p.m. Eastern Time. She was in the air during the game. She didn't choose work. She was working. He pulled out more documents. Here are flight records for every date Mr. Nash claims abandonment. 27 dates. 27 legitimate work shifts with crew manifests, passenger logs, airport security footage timestamps. Ms. Chen is a flight attendant. Her job requires travel. That is not neglect. Ezra's face was turning red. Furthermore, Colonel Whitmore continued, Ms. Chen's uncle, Marcus Chen, a decorated Navy veteran, commissioned a child psychologist evaluation last year. The psychologist found, quote, concerning patterns of control and manipulation by the father, including using the child as leverage in disputes. He handed the report to the judge. Phone records show Mr. Nash called Mrs. Chen 247 times in April 2022 after she ended their relationship. Witness statements from 3 co-workers describe stalking behavior, public confrontations, and airport security incidents. Ezra stood up suddenly. That's not... I was worried about her. Worried? Colonel Wetmore's voice was steel. Is that why you told her 4 days ago that you'd do what you have to do to take Lily away unless she gave you $680,000? I never said take away. I said, you threatened custody for money, Mr. Nash. That's extortion. The judge looked at Ezra. Mr. Nash, did you threaten to pursue full custody unless Mrs. Chen transferred financial assets to you? Ezra's mouth opened, closed. I wanted what was best for Lily. That's not what I asked. She inherited money that should benefit our daughter. Money that was placed in trust for Ms. Chen before your relationship even began, Colonel Whitmore said. Money you have no legal claim to. Money you're using Lily to access. Ezra's face went from red to white. This is ridiculous. Emma is never home. She's always flying somewhere. What kind of mother? The kind who works a stable job with benefits to support her daughter, the judge said sharply. Mr. Nash, I've reviewed these documents. Your custody petition is denied. Furthermore, I'm ordering a review of your current custody arrangement. If there's evidence of you using your daughter as leverage in financial disputes, I would never. She's lying. Ms. Chen hasn't said anything, Mr. Nash. You have. The hearing ended 12 minutes later. The judge denied Ezra's petition, maintained 50-50 custody with a warning, and ordered both of us to co-parenting counseling. Ezra left without looking at me. Colonel Whitmore shook my hand. Marcus would be proud. But I wasn't done. 2 days later, I went back to Serenity Flow Yoga. Same 6 p.m. class, same lobby, same people. Melissa saw me and smiled. Emma, I'm glad you came back. After class, I stood in the lobby, 31 people this time, and I said loudly enough for everyone to hear, I want to address something. Last week, my ex-partner came here and made accusations about me being an unfit mother. Some of you heard him. I want you to know the truth. The lobby went quiet. I'm a flight attendant. I worked to support my daughter. My uncle left me a stock portfolio, money he'd been saving for me for 12 years, before I even met my ex. My ex tried to use our daughter to force me to give him that money. He threatened custody. He filed false claims, and a judge reviewed the evidence and denied his petition. I took a breath. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because words have power. And when someone uses a public space to destroy your reputation, you have the right to defend it with truth. Melissa started clapping, then others joined. Not everyone. Some people looked uncomfortable, but enough. I left before anyone could ask questions. 3 months later, I'm still flying. Still working Flight 1847 to Boston, Flight 2405 to Chicago, Flight 890 to Portland. I make $68,000 a year plus per diem. I moved to a 2-bedroom apartment on Riverside Drive. Lily has her own room now, painted purple with stars on the ceiling. The stock portfolio is still in my name, managed by Colonel Whitmore, growing slowly and safely. I used $15,000 from Uncle Marcus's legal defense fund to establish the Marcus Chen Aviation Scholarship for single parents pursuing careers in aviation or military service. Uncle Marcus would have liked that. Ezra and I communicate only through a court-approved app now. Brief messages about pickup times and school events. He tried to apologize once via email. 3 words. I was wrong. I didn't respond. Some bridges you burn for your own safety. Lily asked me last week why Daddy doesn't come to her room anymore for pickup. I told her the truth. Sometimes people who say they love you try to control you instead of supporting you. And when that happens, you set boundaries. What's boundaries? It's when you protect yourself by deciding what you'll accept and what you won't. She thought about that. Like how you won't let Daddy yell anymore? Exactly like that. If you're watching this and someone has ever confused love with ownership, has ever threatened to take what matters most unless you submit to their control, type "I set boundaries" in the comments. Or if you're still trying to figure out the difference between protection and control, type "I'm still learning." Both are valid. Both are brave. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. It's winter now. I'm writing this from 35,000 feet on Flight 2847 to Boston. The sky is clear. I can see stars. I'm thinking about Uncle Marcus, about how he spent 12 years building a safety net I didn't even know existed, about how preparation isn't paranoia when it's rooted in love. I touched the military pin he left me, small bronze engraved with Semper Paratus, and I remember, control says, do what I want or lose what you love. Protection says, I've equipped you to handle whatever comes. Uncle Marcus equipped me, not just with stocks, but with evidence, with strategy, with the documentation that proved I was exactly who I knew I was, a good mother who works hard to provide for her daughter. I'm still that person I always was. The captain announces our descent into Boston. I secure the galley, check the cabin, smile at passengers. And I know, with absolute certainty, that I am free.